Everyone, go to. Are we starting? Go to San Diego Startup. Go to SanDiegoStartupWeek.com and sign up.
For San Diego.
So we have 5 finalists that came out of the hackathon. It's Team Recycling with Anish Kanan and Nick Crow, are right here. They have Team Incentivize with Paul McMahon and you guys here? All right, excellent. We're going to have Team One Drop. Team One Drop, perfect. Team Grasshopper, formerly known as Carpool App. They thought the Carpool App was not exciting enough, I guess. Grasshopper sounds a lot more exciting for sure. And Team Routed. Team Routed. Perfect. And also we have one honorable mention. They're not going to be pitching. It's Team Spectre. All right? Very good. Why are they an honorable mention? We have to explain why they're an honorable mention. They come up with a really cool solution that wasn't necessarily quite applicable to the climate action plan, but the city thought it was awesome. So that's why they're not one of the finalists, but they're an honorable mention. We wanted to make sure we mention them, which is good, you know. So it's not just finalists who we hope to see having future after the hackathon, having the ideas implemented and grow and so on. But so back to the finalists. So we actually have a panel of judges right here at the table 9. By the way, I'm not a judge. I'm just sitting with them, and I'm trying not to influence them. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to quickly introduce the judges. Just briefly go around. You guys introduce yourself.
Nate Levine, founder of Good.
Jonathan Racketell, I'm the Chief Information Officer with the City of Palo Alto.
Cody Kubik, wasn't your mouthful, excuse me. Chief Sustainability Officer, City of San Diego.
Maxim Petruski, Chief Data Officer, City of San Diego.
Greg Horowitz, Kai Capital Partners, and UCSD Office of Innovation and Commercialization.
Thanks a lot, guys. All right, so now we have Team Recycling, who have a very cool VR solution. They're going to be pitching for about 4 minutes, and then we have about 4 minutes for Q&A coming from the judges. All right? Welcome, Team Recycling. You guys have a mic?
It looks like
You
it's
can
me.
use this one too.
Alright, so, hi everyone. I'm Anish.
And I'm Nick.
And we made Recycling, which is a game that aims to teach recycling in a fun way. So, when we were researching about recycling, we found there were 2 major problems to it. So, the first one is, rules are really convoluted. I don't expect you to read that. Just know that there's a lot of situations where you can and can't recycle things. Like you can recycle plastic containers if they have the right numbers, and if they're washed, and there's no food material left on them. And it can be hard to like keep track of all these things. Second, the thing about that is, if you make a mistake, you can't really know that you made a mistake, right? The bin just takes it, and then it just goes, and you keep making that mistake for years and years, and that problem never gets resolved. So yeah, am I doing this right? Is a question I've often asked myself, and I imagine a lot of people. Oh, so the second thing is, it can be hard to tell people that recycling is important, right? I can tell you so many stats and details about it, like 2/3 of San Diego's trash is actually recyclable, right? Or recycling a can will power a TV for 3 hours. But that doesn't really convince you to recycle, right? You know these facts that might be really cool for like a minute or two, then you forget about it and move on. And then you just go back to your regular activities. The problem is, you're not really feeling it. It's not really being experienced. You're just hearing about them as words or photos. Like this landfill, it's really scary. Oh my god, there's so much trash. Then you forget about it. So yeah, that's what previous forms of media. So what we tried to do is we tried to use this new form of media called virtual reality. The benefit of virtual reality is it makes you feel like you're in a different place. It makes you feel these different situations that we want you to feel. Second thing about it is you can see he's putting on this like virtual reality headset. So the second thing about them is he has these controllers here. And what's really interesting about them is they're accurately tracked. So we can do natural action. So we can make you, instead of like a regular game where you like maybe click like bins and trash things, we make it so you have to like bend down, pick up trash, and throw it into the appropriate thing. And that action, people remember actions a lot more than words or just those clicks. I remember.
Guys, sorry, we have about 1 minute left.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, we have made a game of recycling. We would show a video, but essentially, there's trash coming in, and you have to sort it, and there's consequences for failure, such as there's a furnace, which you would be able to see, and there's a lot of carbon dioxide emissions and kind of things, just showing like the penalties for not recycling. We would show a video, but I didn't have time. But yeah, we're thinking it could maybe be used in like state park visitor centers or museums, where public spaces where a lot of people can try it. We think like kids would be especially interested in it, and maybe can start recycling their homes. We're thinking also maybe recycling companies would be interested in maybe like helping to like fund that kind of thing, because if there's less recycling mistakes, we'll have less problems with the machines.
All right.
Yeah.
Super. Thanks a lot, guys. Questions from the judges?
So, well done. Terrific. It's a real problem, and you're trying to solve a real problem. But one of the things you want to do potentially is to have a wide as possible audience for it, user base. And there's not a lot of adoption of VR yet, at least at the consumer level. I'd love to see this just on a smartphone. You know, what are your thoughts on how you positioned it and maybe re-platforming it perhaps initially to a smartphone?
Yeah, we were thinking of things like that. I've tried it for another project where we used a more complicated virtual reality solution and tried to convert it to a lower one. It can work. I just feel like we lose something in the meanwhile. It's hard to explain. But yeah, it's definitely possible if it's like necessary. But yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I'll actually go off a little bit of that comment of re-platforming it, except for like Google Cardboard.
Yeah.
That might be a way that you want to go, so it's more of a comment question.
Yeah. It could be possible. We have ideas.
I actually don't have any questions because I took a lot of your time over the weekend trying out the virtual reality system. It was so fun. So I think it's great, and good job, guys.
Have you thought at all about how you could actually help people when in the act of recycling figure out where to put the trash, rather than kind of a game they have to do at a museum?
What was that?
But just when somebody's going to recycle, have you thought about that process and how technology can help them figure out where to put the trash at that time?
We're thinking about it. We're thinking we could do like sort of I had a slide here, sort of like an automated trash can kind of thing. But we were thinking that the knowledge about like where to recycle would be more useful than just like an automated trash can kind of thing. Because if you have an automated trash can, it's useful for like that one position for the trash there. But if you can like teach someone how to use it, they'll like do it correctly for the rest of their life. So that was the main idea of that.
Cool.
Any other questions? Good. Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you very much. The next one up is Team Incentivize. Paul and Mom. Anybody else joining you? Anybody else joining you on stage? All right. Okay. Very cool. So we have Martin Schola, Kelvin Javier Gomez, me, Keshava Yengar, and Nihar Mauskar. All right. Welcome, guys. I have to put down the mic for that.
Okay, so we're team incentivized, and we are trying to solve the problem of getting more people to use alternative modes of transportation. So to solve this challenge, we want to get people personally invested into using these alternative modes of transportation, and by doing that, we want to incentivize people by giving them some sort of reward for not getting into their car and commuting on the busy highways, but instead using these alternative modes that will lessen this burden on our roads and also lessen the burden that we're putting on our environment. So our incentive vision is to give people this credit-based system that works on their phone. They can check their credits anywhere they are, and at the same time, we're going to be benefiting the city by giving the city data on these people's usage of these alternative modes of transportation. So the way it works is people will walk, bike, use public transport. For every mile on a scale that is to be determined, but we propose a certain scale in our financial model, people will earn these credits. People will then be able to turn around and exchange these credits for bus passes, a trolley pass. We also want to partner with private businesses to lessen the burden on the MTS system alone. So people, these private businesses can offer deals, coupons, even their own goods in our marketplace for the credits. So people can feel like they're earning something and actually getting some kind of real world material out of A, helping the environment, and B, lessening the burden on our traffic system. The exact currency exchange can all be adjusted and fleshed out and modeled out with more financial analysis. So this is an example of our credit system. You have different users using different modes of transportation, gaining different amounts of credits. We're gathering data on people's usage of these different modes of transportation, which then gets fed back into the city's data system to re-educate to educate even more and provide more granular detail to the city so they can make better decisions and make smarter choices with how we're shaping our walking paths, how we're shaping our biking paths, and how we're shaping our public transit system. So just a little more information here on the credit system. You can redeem them however you want, and we can do almost anything with it. It's a good analogy for it would be as a rewards-based system, likening to if you went to a restaurant, you earn points, and every X points you get a free incentive. Like I mentioned before, we're collecting real-time data on these people. We want to primarily utilize the built-in sensors that we have, that everyone has in their pocket, primarily your phone. But we also want to partner with MTS and other systems to gather more accurate and more precise data on people's locations, whether it be when someone uses their compass pass on a bus, we can tap into the MTS system and collect when they got on the bus and when they got off. So what we developed over the weekend during the hackathon was we developed a mobile app using a software called Ionic. The mobile app currently can exist on Android or iPhone. People can see their credit score. They can see a log of all the different ways that they've earned credits. Additionally, there's a controller interface where the city can go in and see the data that's been collected through the system. And we also propose some stuff with the sensor modules. So the short-term benefits are we're getting more and more people. We want to incentivize to get more people that might be on the cusp of using these alternative modes of transportation. We want to get those people onto using these modes of transportation by giving them these incentives. In the long term, we want to keep sustaining this growth, and we want to help boost revenues into the MTS system.
Thank you.
How do you make sure people don't game the system? In other words, how do you know that you're on a bike or a walking versus something else?
That's a problem that is very present in all of these kinds of geolocation data. One of our plans in terms of making sure that people are actually on like public transportation and that they're not just gaming that is we can compare their geolocation against the actual data of the routes. So obviously if your geolocation point is following loosely the route of a bus system at the intended pace, then we can reasonably assume that you're not gaming the system there.
Unless you take your phone to the bus or something.
Correct.
I'm just curious if you've done. It's a cool idea. And it seems like the devil would be in the details. So I'm curious if you've done even like back of the envelope napkin math on what this might look like for San Diego.
In terms of financials, or
yeah, like how many miles would I have to walk to earn a bus?
So I did. There's a in our GitHub. There's a financial model with some estimates based on current ridership. Generating revenue through ads and impressions with how many we can estimate with the current numbers. So if you want to look there, just real quick, we estimate somewhere where we have with an exchange rate of 100 to $1. So to earn a bus pass, it's 225, so about 225 credits. And we wanted to make it so that a person can earn a bus pass every 2 weeks. And then I also ran the same model on 4 weeks just to see how the numbers line up. Yeah, so all the numbers are there.
I have one question as well. Well, actually, two. Did you finish showing your slides? That'd be nice at least while we're talking to make sure people see your visuals and give you a chance to show those. This is probably the coolest one to get a sense of what it is. And then my question is similar to that question, but only from the transition or mode shift from cars to biking, walking, or taking transit. Did you do any calculations around that?
Sorry,
Do you have any ideas about how this would increase biking or walking or transit?
It's really hard to just make up a number on that. We did in our financial model, I don't know if it made it into the final document, but we did do estimates on if we increase the growth rate. So the year-over-year growth rate that we noticed was about 2.7%. So we did financial models if this incentive program was even to grow that 0.5%, 1% of year-over-year growth, we ran financial numbers on that and how much we would gain and lose there. So there was some calculations on that. I don't know if we put it in the actual document itself.
All right. Thank you very much, guys. Next team is one drop. Yeah, one drop. Sorry. Yes, you guys are going to be one for the last. That's okay. Sorry. Yeah, you can use this one. All right, so team one drop. Carmel Fisco. Yeeting Fun, right here. Max Oliver Geislinger. Lydia Ko. Max Shing. Mason Park. All right, very cool. Guys, take it away.
All right, hello everybody. My name is Carmel. I'm a third-year electrical engineering major here at UCSD.
My name is Max. I'm a third-year computer engineering student at UCSD as well.
And we're one of the two teams representing UCSD's Qualcomm Institute on campus. So the issue that we decided to tackle was water. Water usage. Water is the one resource that everyone universally needs to survive. And we wanted to empower both the city and the private household to effectively monitor the water usage and be able to change their habits to reduce their consumption and conserve more water. So San Diego is actually a city with an aging water infrastructure, and in the past 3 years, we've spent over $10 million on dealing with the bad effects of water main bursts. What if, in the future, instead of knowing there's a water main burst by, say, water shooting on the road, you could have a city worker look at their smartphone and say, oh, I have a notification telling me that this water main on Genesee has a very high probability that it will fail in the coming future. And this is possible through use of smart sensors, using Internet of Things sensors based on water lines and other applications that use water, and transmitting that data to our app to monitor its usage. On the flip side, in the private household, our app allows users to monitor their water usage across different categories. How do you get people to actually use this app, however? In a paper done by University of Calgary, they cited competition and the ability to improve as two really main factors of getting people to change their habits. So we want to turn this into a competition. We want you to be able to compare your water usage to other households in your area and across the city in order to motivate you to use less water. In addition, our app has also created, or it will create, a database of water usage information across the city, and this information can be used to connect people with water-wise products that would be able to help them save the most money and the most water.
So the slogan of this Smart Hackathon is harness data. So everything should be about data. And for that, I think our team is actually a really, really great example for that. For the data solution, we actually use a Teradata. So with a slightly heavy modification on the Teradata thing, we can actually port all the information to Android and iOS. And with the help from the Teradata's tool and 50,000 entries of public water usage data, we're able to do 3 great things. This includes deliver personalized products to customers, predict future trends, and also introducing dynamic pricing on the water. So for the first thing, let's say for example, one specific household is using so much water on its irrigation system, and using Teradata, we're able to tell them that you're using this water more than your neighbors and average usage. At this point, we're able to push a specific advertisement to this guy saying, hey, we got this new irrigation, more efficient system. Do you want to buy it and save the water? So this way we can generate a lot of benefits from that. The second thing is that since Teradata do a lot of analysis on big data, so we can predict the future. What I mean by that is we can look at the data we had previously and predict the future. So in that way, we can actually plan ahead and use water wisely. That actually save water and also money. The last thing is dynamic pricing on the water. A good example would be that Teradata is able to tell you the specific location based on agriculture, like how much water they use on average. So the example would be, for example, some local agriculture is using really a lot of water, between a certain period of time compared to other locations, and our application is able to show this information, to the city, to the government, and thus the government is able to make price changing on the water at this specific area. So thus actually promotes proper usage of water. There are actually a lot of potentials and applications in our projects. This is a great project. We can incorporate all this data to help us utilize all these things. So with the help of Teradata, we're not only able to actually just save the water, save the environment, we're also able to create a lot of business potentials, thus actually expand the revenues. Thank you.
Questions?
Great presentation, really like what you're doing. How do you incentivize people to actually adopt, particularly in residential? How are you going to kind of accelerate the adoption of this?
Well, one major thing is that in San Diego, the city is actually piloting these new smart water meters called AMI meters, and they will, instead of having a guy walking around to your house looking at the number every month, these meters actually send your water usage information straight to the internet. So the idea is you can accurately see how much water your house is actually using in total. And also the city could offer incentives, like if your water meter is showing that you're trending downwards, or if you're not using water during peak times, they could offer incentives for that. There's also the competition aspect. Is there anything else you want to add? Okay.
So thank you very much. Again, a very important topic, and I'm glad you're thinking about it and trying to innovate around it. It is a field that actually has a lot of participation right now. So one of my questions is, had you done some market research? And if you didn't, that's fine. In the event that you did, how would this differentiate from some of the solutions that already exist?
Well, I think our way is actually, so in fact, you actually see we actually have the way we visualize the data is actually all those pretty charts. If you guys use a Mint, it's a way to actually manage your account and all this money spending, right? So it's kind of like the same idea. It's like an easier way for you to actually visualize your data. And people like competitions, right? People like to compare, oh, my neighbor is using more water than I do, and or I'm using more water than they do, and what's wrong with me, right? I've got to save water. So it's kind of like, competitions as well but it's a good cycle that promotes, I got to save water, save water. I think that's the other solutions out there don't have this kind of thing. And also, as I was saying before, we're using Teradata, it's big data. All this information is very accessible, very easy to get it, and that will help us to make longer decisions, long-term decisions. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Anybody else? Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. All right. Yes, Grasshopper. All right, Grasshopper, Arlene Pons, and, Byron Pons, and also Jason Liu. Jason, perfect. All right, guys, let's welcome. That's okay. We'll give you another minute.
Sorry, we're Mac users, so the PC doesn't quite. All right, we're ready. So, we're going to start off by showing you what our landing page looks like if you were to stumble upon us on the internet, and then we'll explain to you a little bit of the business sense behind our app. So our app is called Grasshopper, and it's a carpool app, which you, I'm sure, have heard of many other carpool apps before us, and you'll hear of many after us. And the way that we're different is that we are event-based and we are community-based, and I'll explain to you how. So, hold on. So the idea of it is, are you headed to this big event downtown tonight? Because your neighbors probably are too. And your choices are, you could hop in your car with one other person maybe and battle this crazy traffic and wait 3 hours to get into this parking lot and pay $25 just to park. And that would be a pretty terrible experience, and you'll be angry before you even get in the door. Or you could find somebody near you that's going. Maybe your neighbor 2 miles away or less is also going to this event, and you can hop in their car or they can hop in yours, and now you guys are taking one whole car off the road and splitting the parking costs and making a much better experience for everybody. So the way that it works is you can log into our app and you can search for an event or create a new one, and once you find it, then you can see who is attending this event. You can message them or request a ride with somebody, and then they can approve or deny you. You fill up a card, you get some points for your ride, which it's to be determined how those points can be redeemed. And then you just go to this event and you have a great time because your traffic experience and your parking experience is so much better than it would have been otherwise. We also have the ability to pull data out of our app. If somebody like, let's say Beyonce comes to town, she was just here, right? And she really cares about sustainability. We can then tell her, hey, because you promoted our app, this is how much carbon dioxide is not emitted because people carpool to your event. And so now she can come off as this really great green artist that promotes sustainability. So it's a win-win-win. So let's talk a little bit about the decisions that we made. We're going to start with why event-based carpooling. So we thought about what are some of the barriers to carpooling? Why aren't more people doing it? And the first one is probably there's a lot of commitment involved. I drive to Carlsbad every day and I don't carpool because it's really difficult to coordinate schedules with people and know who's staying late and who has appointments and all of that. So if it's a one-off event and you're both going to the same place, it's much more likely that you can just hop in and come back and it's not a big deal at all. This is also social, which is really great because you're meeting people in your community and you're making friends that have common interests. So these are ties that are strengthening your community, and you can continue to see this person because they're actually 3 blocks away and you never would have met them otherwise. And finally, we thought, how can we have the biggest impact on the city? And these large events that San Diego hosts, like Comic-Con or the Open Fair, things like that, create a ton of traffic.
And I drive on the 5, so the Del Mar Fair is like the worst thing ever for me. And so if we could just get more people to hop in the same car with us and get some of those cars off the road, that it would just be a better experience for everybody, and then San Diego City's own infrastructure wouldn't be so fully strained when these events take place. So some of the challenges that we face with our app, we thought we'd get to them before you guys did. So how are we different from other carpool rideshare apps? First of all, we would be free. We're not charging anybody to use our app. So Uber has a carpool option, but they pay, and so we're going to beat them immediately. We are eco-friendly, which means, so if you use Uber, they still have to send a car to get you, and then to go someplace that the car might not have been going. So you're not really making a huge impact on sustainability by doing that. You're not really reducing carbon emissions, anything like that. But if you're carpooling with somebody who's going to the same place, you're literally taking a whole car off the road. And if we can get a lot of people to do that, that can take 25–30% of the cars off the road that would have been headed down there. So finally, sorry, I'm going to go back to one point real quick. There's community engagement, right? So I've kind of harped on this, but it's really cool because you're going to meet friends that also love the Chargers or also love artists. We're down to 1 minute, aren't we?
Yeah, you're almost there.
Okay. So our users are going to feel comfortable. I'll let you guys read, but we do have a lot of ideas for how to make users feel more comfortable with DMV driving records, so you can know about previous driving stripes, so engagement. Also allowing you to meet the people before you ride with them. And we would like to get people to engage with the city goals by showing them, hey, by doing this rideshare, you contributed this much to your city goal. This is how much carbon dioxide emissions you saved by not driving your own car, things like that. So we would hope to build off dashboards, and I think we are all done. Okay.
Really cool idea and very polished presentation, so great job. Looks nice. It seems like one way you could also incentivize people to do this is by allowing them to maybe split the cost of the ride. Mm-hmm. Have you thought about that at all?
Yeah, we have considered that, and honestly, maybe like a V5, we would build in maybe even just if there's a way to connect with Venmo or something that's popular that's already being used. But for the time being, we kind of just want to put that on the people to connect and decide for themselves if they're splitting the cost or if they're just gonna, let it be.
So there are other folks in San Diego actually developing almost the same thing. What would you say sets you apart? What's your differentiation?
So I think the biggest thing for us, I don't know if I've heard of any other carpool apps that target events specifically, but the big thing for us is that we're partnering with the people, right? Because we're giving them ways to meet new friends and have a better experience. And we're helping the city achieve its goals, and we're helping also the people putting on the events to have some kind of PR branding issue where we can actually give them data saying, here's how many cars did not drive to your event for promoting us. So we're kind of getting everybody involved so that everybody's kind of winning from the situation. And the event-based thing, I think, is what sets us apart.
Cool. You may want to check out a company called Swoop.
Called Swoop?
Swoop.
Oh.
Any other questions? Right. Thank you guys very much. Thank you. And we're down to the final finalist, Routed. Routed with Kurt Davis, Chuan Tiao Huang, Sarah Atu, and Matthew Atu.
Alright, bear with us. This is a live demo. I'm going to break some technology here. We had to be different. Does this work? Anybody hear me? Cool. Perfect. Alright, so we are routed, and we're here to solve some of our traffic and congestion problems. The challenge as it was presented to us is that 75% of all cars on the road are driven by single occupant vehicles, right? We've got all these cars on the road and there's only one person in that. So as we did the research on this problem, we realized there's two things that are contributing to this. The first is that users aren't really presented with an option to analyze what they could do with carpooling or rideshare options in a way that makes sense for them and shows them the benefit of maybe choosing something else. The second aspect of it is the city doesn't really have all the data to really make an intellectual decision around where's the best ROI for maybe incentivizing a route or incentivizing an area or even maybe changing some traffic planning decisions. So if we could solve those problems, this is what it would look like. And what we've created here with Routed is the Travelocity of rideshare. If we could gather that data and we could present it to you, this is what it would look like. So on the screen here you can see we have probably the crucial point of the data here, which is we've aggregated census data from the city. We've taken a look at traffic information from the AADT census information, and we've presented it against an aggregate of an algorithm here to show you what the real rideshare is of specific routes in real time. So you might be asking yourself, how did we do that in real time? We'll get to that in a second, but the power of this dashboard is that we can filter on the information you're seeing here, and we can drill down into specific routes that maybe are presenting problems or that are excelling and doing really well. It's kind of giving you the why a particular area is excelling or why a particular area isn't doing too well. So you see, we just threw up a couple of examples here of the information the city already has, like income levels, total population around those routes. We also have what we call the traffic volume donut here. And effectively what you're seeing here is an opportunity for us to drill down and understand the problem. Back to where we got this data, and how does this visualization make sense? We're going to give you a demo here, and Matt's going to kind of walk through this workflow.
Okay, so the city knows people are ride sharing. That's like a hot thing right now, especially with Uber and Lyft. We know it's happening. But what they don't know is where people are going. They don't know where they're starting. They don't know the routes that are actually being traveled. That's proprietary data. That's the when, where, how. Is it bus? Is it trolley? Is it a Lyft? Is it an Uber? Is it a traditional taxi? Our goal is not to compete with rideshare. It's really to empower the user to make decisions on what's available to them. So here's an example. You're going to Little Italy. You want to go to dinner. And you know you want to take rideshare, right? So here you're presented with a list of options. You say to yourself, maybe, wow, bus. Takes 45 minutes, but it's only $2 compared to that Uber that I almost took. If you're in a time crunch, you're probably going to go with the Uber and pay that premium. But again, this is just empowering the user to see what's available to them. So let's go with Uber. And what we've done is, powered by Google Maps and directions, we've taken those data points and that route, and we've fed it into our centralized Teradata database, which also powers our dashboard. And with that, we can overlay that route with census data to come up with an accurate percentage of what amount of traffic that day was actually rideshare.
Yeah, so to tie up the feedback loop here, I think what differentiates us from maybe some of the other folks that presented ideas here today is that we didn't just create a solution for the consumer, we didn't just give an opportunity for the city to drill in on that data and start incentivizing problem areas. But we gave them the full feedback loop to see how that incentive is working or not. And then from there, we can drill down and understand how that worked, maybe what was different about a particular area, and capitalize on that moving forward.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. All right. Any questions?
Great presentation, you guys. And gals. One question is, we try to distinguish, collecting some of these data points are really difficult for us, and we try to distinguish between commutes versus just trips for whatever other recreational, personal reasons. Do you have any ideas about how to distinguish those? And if it's humans, how do you distinguish that operator error?
So there are questions like that you could ask that could potentially be built into the application, maybe with a non-intrusive way of saying, would you like to help the city help you and improve rideshare? Would you mind answering just a simple question? That's one solution, but that hasn't been too deeply explored.
Yeah, I think another aspect that we can talk about here is maybe the next steps of the technology is to incorporate something along with some of our partners like Teradata to do a machine learning algorithm to maybe understand whether this particular route is different for that user. maybe that would indicate that this is an event versus their typical daily kind of behaviors where they're just going to work every day. We know, that's potentially the same kind of behavior.
Any other questions? Going once, going twice. All right. Thank you guys very much. All right, you've seen 5 finalists. Recycling, incentivize, one drop, grasshopper, and routed. So what's going to happen next? You probably want to know who's the winner, right? Well, so we actually going to let judges deliberate for a little bit. Thanks, guys. Let judges deliberate for a little bit. Then we're going to have a panel where we're going to talk about the Smart City Innovation Program and the future of the Smart City Innovation in San Diego. It's like a little bit like Hackathon, which is you essentially crowdsourcing solutions to the problems. We're going to crowdsource some solutions to Smart City Innovation Program right here on the podium. We're just going to discuss it in front of you. And maybe we'll come up with some great ideas in addition to what we already think. But before that, I'd like to invite Pedro Villegas from SDG&E to give an address. It's actually, we got approached by SDG&E within a few weeks before the event, and we are really grateful for this partnership, and we'll look forward to expanding and growing it further. Thanks, Pedro.
How's everybody doing? Good? Dessert's coming. I'll be quick. For SDG&E, it's a real pleasure to be here today. We're 4,300 employees that work tirelessly, not just to bring you as much clean energy as we can and make sure that it's on 24/7, but frankly to do it as effectively and efficiently as we possibly can. I want to tell you a quick story about sort of a metaphor for why we're all here. About 10 years ago, I'll take it back a little bit further. Assembly Bill 32, our landmark environmental bill here in California that started us down the path of getting back to 1990 emissions, right? And then beyond that, through 2050. It's a lot of work to get there, very challenging. I used to work in the legislature at the time. Actually, it was one of my first jobs after I graduated from that place right there, the GPS School of Global Policy Studies. When we passed the bill to go at the time to 20% renewables, we didn't really know how to get there, but we knew it was a noble endeavor. We knew we needed to get there. We knew we needed to start that path. A few years later, it went to 33% renewables. And just last year, 50% renewables. Back when it was 20, we were at 1% renewables here at SDG&E. Now, how in the world were we going to get to 20, 33, and 50? We knew that if we stayed in the box that we were in then, we were never going to get there. We had to blow up the box and put it back together. Instead of a square or a cube, we needed a big fat polygon that we could put 33% renewables into, and now 50% renewables. But it was innovation. It was a team of really dedicated people who knew what they wanted to do. They wanted to do more renewables, who figured out how we could deliver power to folks without using any coal power. And ladies and gentlemen, today your power is 35% renewable, and it has no coal in it. That's a big deal. I go to a lot of conferences with a lot of folks that work in my industry, and they work for other utilities in other parts of the United States, even other utilities in the rest of California. And I tell them the story, and they're kind of incredulous, right? How did you do it, right? what you're doing today is really important for the city of San Diego, actually for our region, because we have very ambitious goals in the city of San Diego. We can get there. We may not know exactly how to get there. We may need a lot of flexibility to get there. But one thing for certain is we're going to need a lot of innovation to get there. And the kind of things that you guys were doing just a minute ago up here on the stage, that's exactly what we have to do to get there. We have to think different. We have to do different. We have to build a better box, maybe just a fatter, bigger polygon, right? 40% of our emissions come from the transportation sector. About 20 or a little bit less than 20, about 20% come from the electric sector. That's going to get greener the closer we get to 50% renewables. But I was really heartened to see that 3 of the presentations here had to do with transportation, right? Finding ways to take that one car off the road so that we can travel in 1 instead of 4, instead of 5 vehicles. And by the way, imagine if that vehicle was electric, all electric. Imagine if it were fueled today, if you drive electric, you drive on 35% sunshine and wind. Imagine a few years from now, by the way, we'll be at 40% in 2018. We're supposed to be at 33% in 2020. We're way ahead of the game. So imagine when you get that electric vehicle and you're driving around on 35% renewable power now. Do we know how to get 50% of us? We have about 20,000 electric vehicles, is that about right? Yeah, about 20,000 electric vehicles in town today. To meet the governor's goals, we have to be around 140, 150,000 in the San Diego region. We're trying our best. We have a little pilot project you may have heard of, where we're going to go out and we're going to build some charging stations in multifamily housing and places of work to try to encourage folks to get into electric vehicles. We've only been given authority to build 3,500 charging stations. If we're going to get 150,000 electric vehicles on the road, we're going to need a lot more than that. And that's, if we just use the tools we have now, maybe we'll get there. But it sure would be great to get there a lot faster if we could figure out a more innovative way to get there. So I want y'all to know that your utility is a company that is always looking to innovate. And your utility is a company that's going to do everything in its power to help the city of San Diego reach its climate goals. So thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for allowing us to come out and hang out and break some bread and eat some chicken around the round table with you. It's always fun. And good luck to all the teams.
Thank you. All right, what's happening next? So we're going to take about a 5-minute break. We're going to bring in the panel. We're going to talk about the Smart City Innovation Program, and then we're going to go into announcing the winners and the award ceremony. Does this sound like a good plan? All right.